Subscribe my channel to learn real English.
In English language, if we want to express our emotion, our thought, our feeling, it's very tough because we don't have enough vocabulary. It's very important when we are trying to speak in English to learn new words. So it's very important when you have already determined yourself that you want to learn English as your second language. So it's very important to learn new words every day. At the same time, it's very important when you are learning new words, in that case, you try to understand the meaning and the uses of these words. Because as we all know that a single word can be used for different purposes. In that case, if you start to see the uses of these words, it will help you to express your emotion, your feeling, your thought, anything. Sometimes maybe you want to express your emotion, your sentence like assertive, maybe imperative. It doesn't matter what type of sentence you want to express. Main thing which is very important, that is you have to know lots of words. This type of words will help you to speak in English very nicely. So dear learner, in my today's lesson I will show you two most important words in English language. Sometimes or oftentimes we see that these two words basically used in English a lot. This two word is very simple and easy, but as I said earlier that when you are learning something new, in that case you have to be very confident and you have to know all the uses of these words. So our today's two words are always and never. Well, these two words are very easy. Of course, these two words are very easy to use, but you have to know the uses of these words. Then you will be able to speak in English, or you will be able to apply them in a sentence very correctly. Well, now let's start to know these two words. Well, first one is always. Always, that means one kind of adverb. As we all know that in a sentence, parts of speech plays a very important role. So when you are using any word, in that case it's important to know what type of parts of speech of this sentence. So as I want to tell you for your kind information that this word always means basically forever. That means not sometimes, forever. So you can use this word as an adverb and you can use this word to mean forever. Well, now why to use? Well, you can use this word to give more emphasis in a sentence. Well, at the same time, another information for you, you can use this word always in for different purposes. So what are the purposes? If you want to speak something present, that means present indefinite or present simple, in that case this word always means actually some every day, regularly. So when you are using this word always as present indefinite tense, please remember this word will use as every day or regularly. Well, at the same time, if you want to use this same word always as present continuous tense, so this time you will find this same word different meaning. That means too often. It's a negative sense actually. Well, on the other hand, if you want to use this same word always in a sentence, you can also use this word as present perfect tense. In that case, you have to remember that when you are using this same word always in a sentence as present perfect tense, in that case you have to remember this word actually means in a sentence for the whole life. Well, next one is, as I said, different purposes. So next you can use this word as future indefinite tense, which means forever. So I hope, dear learner, you got my point, because as I told you earlier that a single word can be used for different purposes. So these are the purposes basically we use always in a sentence. Well, now let's turn to our next word, that was never. Well, this one is also means about an adverb in a sentence. Well, if we talk about never as what type of pursuit is, in that case we can say this one is also an adverb. That means not at all. Never, not at all. Well, so I'm going to make you more clear for you that you can use this word never to say something that never happens, or something didn't happen in the past, or you can use this one won't happen, or something won't happen ever in future either. So this is how actually you can use this word never. So dear learner, I hope you understood how to use this two word, but there is another twist for you. What are the twist? Well, as already we have as we have already understood what are the meaning of these two words. Now it's very important to know the uses of these two words. Well, even though these two words are, if we talk about parts of speech, in that case they are same. They work as an adverb. They are opposite. Their meaning is totally opposite, but the uses of these two words are same. Well, now let's start to know about the uses of these two words. Well, if you want to use always and never as using main verb in a sentence, in that case remember one very important thing. When you have intended yourself that you want to use main verb in a sentence, in that case you have to use always and never before main verb. Well, an example will help you to understand the uses of these two things. Well, if I talk, well, my brother never skips breakfast. Oh, it's very true. So I hope you understood, as I mentioned here, that my brother never skips breakfast. Here main verb was skips, and I used here never before main verb. Now I hope it's now very clear to you. Well, our next uses of this word. If you want to use auxiliary verb in a sentence, in that case you have to remember, when you are using auxiliary verb in a sentence, in that case you have to use always and never after auxiliary verb. After auxiliary verb, that means you can use here am, is, or was, were, shall, it doesn't matter if you want. So that means you can write present, past, or future, no matter at all. But one thing matter, that is when you are using auxiliary verb, in that case of course you have to use always and never after this auxiliary verb. Well, now another example for you, that you can see the board. Well, that one is, he is always late in the class. He is always late in the class. I have used here is auxiliary verb, and after that I used here always. So I hope now it's very clear to you. Oh, it's very tricky. When you are using these two, please remember the uses. As I said, the uses of these two words is very tricky, though they are opposite in meaning, but the uses are same. Well, next one, and this one is very important. Well, oftentimes you will find always and never applied between two verbs. Two verbs. That means when you are using always and never, you have to use always and never middle of the two verbs. Well, an example for you. We should always respect our parents. Or I can say, I have never been to Rangamati. So I'm sure it's very clear to you, and you have understood how to use these two words always and never. Thank you very much and see you soon in my next class.